Locked On Avalanche, along with Kyle Demetrius from Locked On Sharks. Kyle, how you doing so far?
Loving that many teams don't know how to scout. It's great.
Or do they, and they just know more than we do? Or are we not going to give them that benefit of the doubt?
I believe Buffalo fired their entire front office before the draft, so no.
That's, wow. Yeah, I mean, so far we are 16 picks through. Number 1, no surprise. 2 and 3, really no surprise. Like you said, before we had gone live, 4 is really where this draft kind of takes off. Maybe no real big surprises until number 8 at Buffalo. So take it away. Take it. Buffalo goes with Jack Quinn from the Ottawa 67s over Marco Rossi, who they played on the same team. Rossi was the better scouted player. Quinn, has immense talent. That one early on, as far as surprises go, that one takes the cake so far.
I just don't understand how you can take the second best player off his junior team when the first best player is still there. I don't really understand. Marco Rossi, it's not like Marco Rossi and Jack Quinn were close. Marco Rossi led the OHL in scoring. I don't. Marco Rossi being there at 8 was kind of normal if you kind of look at how all of the major draft guys and the aggregators kind of had it ranked up. Like you said, 1, 2, 3 went kind of the way we want, even 4, 5, 6. So Rossi being there wasn't a surprise. It's not like they had to panic and take somebody.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing?
Kevin
know. With a Y. What are you doing, buddy?
He's going to be a good player, but you could have had maybe somebody that could be maybe even a little bit more marquee player than Quinn. I don't know. They have people that they're paying to kind of crunch these numbers, and for whatever reason, they wanted Quinn. Good news is we will have the host of Locked On Sabres on a little bit later to kind of discuss that pick and how he feels about it.
Have we confirmed that he's upright? Able to call it?
We probably should make sure he definitely wants to come on we should make sure he wants to come on the show still. I don't know if he's backed out. I hope not. Maybe he needs this to get some steam off his chest. I don't know. But everybody that's out there, thank you for joining us. We have a lot of guests lined up for you guys from different shows throughout the NHL network. And we're going to be dropping in and out with some of them. We're going to be keeping track of, the picks that are currently ongoing. You might have to be my man and letting me know who's being picked here, because I'm going to be paying attention to other things. So
the Chicago Blackhawks are on the clock, and they haven't submitted a pick because, much like real life fantasy drafts, everybody takes the full allotment of time.
Yeah,
it's been almost 2 hours, and we're only halfway through the draft.
Especially the number 1 pick. Like, why does the number 1 pick even have to? They took the full 5 minutes. I get it's for television, but come on, we've talked about him enough. We don't need. It's like, what in this last 5 minutes are we going to learn about Alexis Lafreniere that we haven't heard within these 5 minutes that you have to pick him?
We did learn that his family's a tough hang. They did not celebrate in the least. They just kind of silently got up and hugged, and then that was it.
I think the library that they were in was no talking allowed, which is why we got kind of like this very subdued yay from them. I don't know, but
it was so funny too because Quentin Byfield was pick number 2, and his family had confetti, and they all jumped up and yelled and everything, and it was a pretty good time.
The total opposite.
Yeah, and even Stutzla, they had all the way from Germany, was excited and stuff. It was just a really weird start in the fan cam. Stan Bowman's at the podium, and he's about to make a pick. But like you said earlier, the draft really started at 4 because Detroit was linked pretty heavily to Cole Perfetti, I think, for months and months and months and months. And then we got some Askarov talk, and then there was some other names. But Lucas Raymond to the Red Wings, kind of not really out of left field, but not exactly who we kind of thought. So interesting that they went zigged away from Perfetti, and then Perfetti fell to 10. That's a long way to go for Perfetti.
Did you expect the Kings to go with Byfield? I mean, because I know that was the thing. It was back and forth between 2 and 3. We knew number 1, obviously. 2 and 3, we knew who was going to be, those players at 2 and 3 between Byfield and Stützle. were you surprised?
Wow. Not to cut you off, but
yeah, go ahead.
the Chicago Blackhawks took Lucas Reichel at 17.
Oh, that's not. Yeah, that's
I love Lucas Reichel too, and was hoping he would be there for San Jose at 31. That's big time making your move, Stan Bowman.
Well, and this is kind of getting into this is on my Unlocked on Avalanche. I had said many times, it will be interesting to see where defenders go after Sanderson and Drysdale. They are, Sanderson and Drysdale were clear number one, number two, and either way, Drysdale probably number one. After that, the defenders are not, the forwards, a lot of scoring in this draft. I was really interested to see where teams who wanted defenders reach for one. And I think Caden Gooley at number 16 for Montreal is a reach, because he is kind of in that mid-20s, maybe late 20s or early to mid-20s. And I think Montreal might have reached for him. Although he's going to be good, I think he's definitely a good player, but I thought that was a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, just a bit. But if you really, really want defense, you can just get a better pick and take a defenseman really high, because we have Ross Levitan of Locked On Senators here now. And do you want to talk about Jake Sanderson, or do you want to talk about any other pick? Because we really want to talk about Jake Sanderson.
Let's get into it then at number 5 first. What do we think of the pick, boys?
I like Jamie Drysdale.
Okay, I had Sanderson over Drysdale the whole way, especially for what Ottawa needs. You have a couple offensive guys, Brandstrom most notably being like more strictly an offensive-minded defenseman. And I just love what Sanderson brings as a two-way guy. They actually had Brady Tkachuk on TSN 1200 this morning, and they were asked specifically about Sanderson, both guys going NDDP and both being captains there. And he said, if I got the chance to see Sanderson with the Sens, he sees it as a Hedman-McDonough situation with Shabbat playing the Hedman role. So you got to be stoked to hear that. And, being a captain at every level up. And another neat thing about Sanderson is he's going to UND, and his D partner is Sens' first-round pick from 2 years ago, Jacob Bernard Docker. So if they can get some chemistry there, Pinto also second pick of the second round last year, all at UND, get some nice little chemistry going. I love the pick, but why do you think Drysdale? I mean, it's definitely a valid opinion.
High biased. I don't really like the USN DTP DTP guys. Not big on them. I think if you can get one of them really, really high, they do pan out. But I prefer the more traditional OHL, CHL, even European to them. I think you're kind of splitting hairs between Drysdale and Sanderson, but Drysdale's really, really good. Like, Drysdale's been at the top of the D list and the top of most drafts for a long time, and Sanderson was that quick riser. So I think there's a little bit of, I don't know if you want to say hesitation, but there's a little bit of reservation. Why was Sanderson not hyped this much beforehand, and all of a sudden this year he went from down here to all the way up here?
Well, I think one of the reasons you could look at is his late birthdays. The July 8th, the cutoff's the start of September. So just like Byfield, people are saying he's a really young player. Byfield's just about 2 weeks younger than Jake Sanderson. So he's still growing into his body. He's an elite skater. I know you guys have had a bunch of people on Locked On Sharks too from the Elite Prospects Guide, and he is Mr. Metals, as Pilsy likes to call him, because they ranked guys on specific skills, and his name is Pilsy. This is a perfect way to enter in. What were his acknowledgments in the Elite Prospects Draft Guide?
I love that you threw it to me, Ross. I got him right here. Tell me if you think this is good, Kyle. Best neutral zone defender in the draft, best defensive defenseman in the draft, best transitional defenseman in the draft, second best four-way mobility, second best floor, third best straight line skater, and throw it in there too, third best offensive defenseman. So this guy gets it done in every single zone on the ice. He's such a Sens safe defenseman draft pick, and he's going to make an amazing partner for JBD at UND and possibly in the future with the Senators organization.
Yeah, I mean, when you break it down between Drysdale and Sanderson, I think you're taking whichever one you prefer, and obviously he's first, second, third in all those categories. It's funny because the third best straight line skater, I'm pretty sure first best is going to be somebody like Helga Grans or one of those guys that's going to go way late anyway. So really, when you're looking at the elite guys, he's at the top of the board as well. And also that's Brandon Pillar of Locked On Sharks who joined us. If you don't know who Pilsy is, the best throw. But Sanderson, you guys like Sanderson at 5. Were you happy that you got Stützle at 3, or were you hoping for Byfield? I'm sure you're hoping for Byfield, but Stützle's a good consolation prize.
Exactly. It was one or the other. And if you track in the biggest need being a power center, whose isn't like a number 1 elite center? Teams don't trade those. You have to draft them. And that's why, like, think about the Kings. Wow. I know you're talking about how I feel about the Sens pick, but getting Byfield to learn from Anze Kopitar over the next 3-4 years, I mean, in that division is going to be amazing to see. So I think that's a great pick for LA. But having Stützle fall to Ottawa at 3, you're getting an electrifying player, which also allows Sanderson coming in to feel a little bit better. Pillar and I both loved Raymond in that spot. I think Detroit also made a good pick. So did the draft go perfectly for Ottawa? No, but if you just acknowledge that the teams ahead of them picked who we felt were the right players in those spots, then it worked out, I think, fair. And we tweeted out right away after Raymond went off the board, the Sens are going to pick Jake Sanderson. There was no surprise to the pick, Kyle.
Yeah, and I think I was just a little biased over to Drysdale. I don't think you can look at Ottawa's haul so far and be upset, which is kind of what you're hoping for as an Ottawa fan, is just not to be upset at this point. And you can't really be upset getting Stützle, getting Sanderson, still having another pick to go, and then a million more picks tomorrow. What are you guys hoping? Ottawa has one more late round, first round pick, I believe, 23 with a question mark?
28.
28, yeah, it's from the Pajot trade.
So 28. So what are you guys hoping for later in this draft now that you've got your big D, your big winger?
Yeah, well, I think hopefully we're having Stützle as a center, so that fills the center void. There is some talk that maybe he goes to the wing, but if you're the Senators, you're drafting him to be up the middle and be the center for your top line. I think with pick number 28, you need some goal scoring. Tyson Forster, the right winger, would be a perfect addition to the Senators if he falls that late. I think some people may reach on him and he may already be gone at that point. But if he's available, that's our guy from the Locked On Senators podcast.
Yeah, and I'll throw a backup one. If somehow Brendan Brisson falls to 28, you scoop him up as quickly as possible.
Are you worried that Brendan Brisson is going to have the worst contract negotiations of all time every single year because his dad is Pat Brisson?
Yeah, he could. He's got some pull, to say the least.
So you guys ultimately, if you had to give a live reaction to the draft so far for Ottawa, A+, A?
I would say an A. I think A+ would be Byfield Raymond. That was our go-to combination all along. And like Ross said, you just got to credit the teams that took them before them. There was only 2 opportunities for them to go before, and they both happened. So you got to credit LA and Detroit for making those moves. But I think Stützle is going to be an electric player. He's so exciting. And anytime you get what we think is the best defenseman in the entire draft, you walk away pretty happy. And
you look right behind him too, and the guys we would have picked next in that spot were Marco Rossi and Cole Perfetti, and they didn't go in the next 3 picks, so you don't feel that immediate, oh man, we missed and this team jumped up to get them. They lasted on the board for another few opportunities. And seeing Jack Quinn, and as an Ottawa podcast, we have to mention the 267s, shout out, great program and going in the top 10. I know as a Doug Wilson, former 67, he loves drafting out of Ottawa, and to have 2 go in the top 10, but many thought Rossi was going to go first. So that to me is the surprise of the draft, Jack Quinn going ahead of Marco Rossi.
Chris and I sufficiently skewered Buffalo. Kevin with a Y is Kevin with a Y is the big question mark.
Although Jack Eichel playing with Quinn, all of a sudden you can see some potential there.
Yeah. Well, had some audio issues, so I don't know if you talked about your 3rd pick in the first round yet.
Not really. We were more talking about Jake Sanderson.
Okay. What are you guys looking for in that? Do you think they'll hang on to it? Do you think they might give it up for any or try to move up? Where are they standing, or where do you think they're standing with that 28th pick?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think Pillsy mentioned Tyson Forster. You need to add some scoring. Okay. And then I mentioned Brendan Brisson as well as another name.
Okay. That's when I came in, I think. I apologize.
Exactly. Fair enough. But we could pretty much mention a few more because Ottawa has the 2nd pick of tomorrow's 2nd round and then 3 other seconds after that. Are you guys, just to throw it back to you, maybe I'll throw it to Kyle here. Are you surprised that there's been no trades since the draft has actually been underway?
I was promised by 91.9 Montreal radio that they were trading 16 if somebody was gone by then. I really, really hope for my friend's sanity that Caden Gooley wasn't the guy that they were hoping for to be there at 16.
It's got to be, man. I mean, that's a reach of a pick, I think. So if he was gone, that would have been them. You know, he would have been picked before 16, which I did not see coming. So if that was their guy, wow. I mean, good, I guess, but
I'm surprised there hasn't been any trades. I don't know if the Slack and Zoom channels are funky and they're just not getting done, but maybe it might be because the draft is so deep that teams are just staying put in the top half, and we might see more trades in the back half coming down the stretch, especially because Ottawa has 3 picks tomorrow, plus 28 still. Detroit has 3 picks tomorrow. San Jose has 3 picks in the top 54. Montreal has every pick seemingly after the first round. So I'm wondering if a bunch of those teams start looking to push up and, we just got a note that there's a trade. Happening while we're on air. I don't know what it is, but if somebody could tell us, because I'm on mute.
I got Elliot Friedman here saying Calgary's trading down to the Rangers at 22, and they're getting 72nd overall pick. So that'd be the middle to start of the third round.
The Rangers are moving up.
Rangers are moving up. Yep, Calgary's moving back 3 spots here.
I look like a genius because they just said the back half of the trade with all these people with a bunch of picks. I wonder who the Rangers want at 19 so desperately when they already have Lafreniere and every other best prospect in their system. Maybe Brisson. Do you think they'll go D here because they only have Fox, really the only one who knows how to play defense on their team? D'Angelo might be pricing himself out. And they don't really have a ton of other guys. Trouba, but he's there forever. I wonder if they go Braden Schneider here.
I've heard they like Connor Zary too. Ooh. I don't know if that would be early, but I mean that's kind of right around where he's projected. But I've heard the Rangers like him.
Jeff Gorton is staring at the camera with no audio. Awesome, sick work, NHL. I don't know. So they gave up 28 or 20, whatever, 22, and then 74. 22. That's a lot of value to move up 3 spots. They must really, really like whoever this is. Is it Hendricks Lapierre? Or are they just
a risk? That's a risk.
They moved up to get Lapierre because you've got to think he's going to fall a couple more picks. I think they're going to go with the centerman here. Either Zary, Bork's still available, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brisson, or like you said, Kyle, Braden Schneider makes a lot of sense for them here too. I don't think anyone expected him to fall below the Canadian trio we just saw of Montreal, Edmonton, and Toronto. I was expecting one of those guys to grab him.
Yeah. Ooh, voice crack. Wow. Puberty. I don't really know who they're going to move up to grab. That seems kind of insane. Maybe they really want Noel Gunler because they can wait on him because they're so stacked. But before we find out who they pick, because Jeff Gorton is going to take the 5 minutes again, we're going to have to say goodbye to Ross and Brandon. Where can they find you guys?
Send Central on Twitter, and just like you guys, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Sharks, Locked On Senators, anywhere you find your podcasts.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Chris, nice chat with you. Kyle, always a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the draft, guys.
Yeah, you too.
See you downtown, Ross.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we're awaiting the Ranger pick. You got eyes on that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so Caden Gooley is about to talk, but I'm not going to turn this on because I don't care to listen to Caden Gooley. So this trade is kind of interesting. They 22 and 72 moving up to go 19 is three spots up. That doesn't seem like good return on value. I'm going to text my nerdiest friend to tell me what the return on value is on that. But it just seems kind of like a lot, right?
What was the rest of it? So obviously they switched picks, and then what else
Flames
did
got
Calgary
72. So like the top of the third round.
Yeah, so you're moving up 3 spots and you give up a third round. Okay, I mean, I maybe they're thinking something that New Jersey might be.
I wonder if they got word.
Guys, you're right, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if. Okay, so here we go. I got it right here. Okay. Pick 20 is 19. Worth 4 wins. Pick 22 and 72. 22 is worth 3.7 and 72 is worth 0.9. So the Flames get 4.6 wins out of it over to 4. So the Flames did a good job here trading down 2 spots and picking up 70, 74, especially in a deep draft. We've heard it over and over and over again this whole time. It's a deep draft, and you're going to get guys. Doug Wilson said that there's guys that normally would be gone in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round that are going to fall to the 4th, 5th, 6th round just because there's so many guys. So I think good work by the Flames. Very curious to see who the Rangers pick here.
I know this is draft right here, man. This is like what we see. I love this stuff. I love it.
I think Gary's doing some stuff here.
Rangers general manager Jeff Gordon with the 2nd pick in the first round of the Rangers will be selecting the 19th.
Gary talks really slow. Okay, Jeff Gordon's live here.
By the way, we have
the New York Rangers select Braden Schneider.
Boom, nailed it.
Schneider.
Sign me up, TSN.
Okay.
I can be your draft analyst. So they wanted a defenseman, obviously, to replace, to help fill in the future that behind Fox and Trouba, and they wanted Schneider. Do we really think we're moving up 3 spots to get Schneider? Sarah Avampato of Locked On Kings is here, and before we get to them, so they can brag about Quentin Byfield for 5 straight minutes. Do you think it was worth it to move up 3 spots to get Braden Schneider?
He's defender, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is this is kind of where I was thinking defenders are going to go. I think teams are going to want to reach for these defenders because they're kind of like bunched together. There's not a big pool to choose from. They're good, but they're not, top 5, and according to this draft, top 6 talent like Sanderson and Drysdale. So they're going to go. Those guys are going to go. I think you're going to see this for the rest of the first round. People want these defenders, and obviously the Rangers are trading up to grab one where they maybe could have stayed put. And taken him.
Yeah, Sarah, are you wearing a bow tie in solidarity with your new prize prospect?
I figured if it was good enough for Quentin Byfield, it was good enough for me. I don't have a white suit, but I did pull this blazer out and find
close enough
pocket. So
close enough.
That's a good haul. You got Quentin Byfield and you found stuff in your pocket. You can't really complain.
Right. All right. So where did you think the Kings were going to go? Obviously, the talk was, 2 and 3 is going to be Byfield and Stützle. Where would they go? Were you pretty confident the Kings were going with Byfield?
I had been Byfield all along, and then in the past couple of days, there's been enough mock drafts and more media people coming out being like, no, I think the Kings are going to go with Stützle, and I was kind of second guessing myself. So I'm glad that I held fast in my belief that they really wanted Anze Kopitar 2.0, and especially in the Pacific Division and the Western Conference where size is still a thing. You get that big frame down the middle. He could still grow more. Who knows? He is going to learn from one of the best in the business. And this is where I thought they would go. And I am real glad they did it.
It's not the size of your prospects. It's how you use your prospects.
King's problem.
The Kings so the Kings now are adding Quentin Byfield to an already stacked pick pool. So they have Arthur Kaliev, who is going to score 75 goals a year now. They have Gabe Vilardi in the show. They have the guy with 3 names that I can't remember. They have, you can list the rest of them off, Samuel Fajemo. They have a million prospects. How does Quentin Byfield fit into this pool?
I think that if he is ready to make the jump to the NHL now, he is going to slot in as your number 2 or your number 3 center. If he needs a little more time, great. We'll give him another year to season in the OHL. I don't really know what he can accomplish there, but he hasn't already. But there's nothing wrong with letting a player take his time to get there. But I think that he really shores up the center position, which for years, basically, especially now that Jeff Carter is in his slow decline and has been pushed out to wing, they haven't really had a lot of strength down the middle past Kopitar. And so there is immediately a picture of what that's going to look like. They have other guys like Alex Turcotte, Jared Anderson-Nolan, like you mentioned, Akil Thomas, all these guys play center, Tyler Madden. You can move them to wing. You now have the freedom to kind of experiment. And the more prospects they get, the more they can decide, okay, we can part with one of these guys if they start to get close and to being a playoff team then they can kind of start making moves. But I think right now that he immediately will slot in as one of your top centers.
What do you like about his game that kind of translates to how the Kings play and their style of play? Obviously, you look at him, the thing that jumps out is his size, clearly. And you would think, man, a guy that's 6'4", pushing 220, shouldn't move the way he does, but he doesn't. Oddly enough, you would think his size would jump out on the screen at you, and he looks oddly enough smaller than you would think. I think the height kind of thins him out a little bit, but the things that I've seen from him is like he is not afraid to go anywhere on the ice. Yeah. So, what are some things that you like about his style of play?
I do like the size. I mean, it's such a cliche. It's such a like Dean Lombardi way of thinking of the old way of the Kings, where it's like, is that boy 6'6"? We're going to draft him. Doesn't matter if he's bad, but there is some truth to needing that size and needing someone who can play both a physical game and the smart skill game. And I really do just look at Kopitar and his game and how he has grown and matured over the years and is still, he made his debut on this day in 2006 in the NHL, and he is still going strong. He's still basically the best player on the Kings team, which says a lot about their prospects.
That's more on the Kings.
It's not a great thing necessarily. But I like the fact that he already has a pretty well-rounded game as a teenager and can only go up from there. And learning from Kopitar, learning from Todd McClellan, who I have been pleasantly surprised with in Los Angeles. I think that he has a lot of potential to become, a really dangerous player and add that strength down the middle and to really follow in the mold of Kopitar. That he also gets compared to Evgeny Malkin a lot, kind of a similar style of play of, not afraid to be physical, and also is really good at setting his teammates up and making great passes and has great vision on the ice. So I think he does it all, and I'm really excited to see how it translates to the NHL.
So do you think, and kind of last question for you, do you think LA is done for the day? A lot of times, these early first round picks in other sports anyway, maybe not so much hockey, but they'll jump back into the first round somewhere and kind of double dip. Do you think the Kings are set to do that, or do you think they're okay for today?
I think there's a possibility. There's been some talk around Kings media world of the Kings trying to trade back up into the first to get someone in that low 20s kind of range. They do have 3 second-round picks tomorrow, so it is possible they could start packaging stuff to move back up. But so far it's been crickets from the West Coast and the war room for the Kings, but I think it is possible that they would try to steal some at the bottom of the draft.
Okay. All right, Sarah. Thanks for joining. Thanks, good luck with the pick. Congratulations with the pick, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Good night, guys.
All right.
Bye.
So while we're on the air with Sarah, the New Jersey Devils selected. Say the name.
You want to do it?
No.
Okay,
no.
Shakir Mukhamadullin.
Defender.
If you have a box with a big question mark on it, and somebody says this could be $1 million, this could also be a cheetah, or this could be empty, that's Shakir. He could be literally anything.
Yeah.
We have no idea. And they took him 20 overall. This is awesome.
I'm looking. Where is he? Wow. The one I'm looking at, he's in the 50s from one of the rankings I'm looking at.
I have not seen him in the first round.
No. This is pulling, man. This is what I'm saying. Defenders, people are going for them when they shouldn't be.
Yeah, this is crazy. But we have somebody who knows defenders from last year. We have a real live Detroit journalist, Nolan Bianchi.
Hello.
Wearing a Detroit toque because Detroit did a good.
Check it out. Did the Detroit Red Wings just get the Sergei Fedorov to Steve Yzerman's? Dylan Larkin being Steve Yzerman, you get the analogy. I'm psyched. What's up, boys? How you guys doing?
How are you, man?
Did you just call Lucas Raymond Sergei Fedorov?
Did I?
Well, Lucas Raymond plays wing. Sergei Fedorov notably won the Hart Trophy as center.
He also played defense. I'm talking more storyline, like 1 and 2. You get what I'm saying? I'm a narrative guy. What's going on, guys?
How are you? So you're happy?
Yeah, pretty much. Going into I was talking about this yesterday on the show, and going in, after all the conversations we've had, the prospect profiles we've done, all the mock drafts we've read, all the conversations we've had with ourselves, just deliberating what the Red Wings are going to do, I felt at the end of the day, there was about 6 or 7 players who had an exactly equal chance of getting taken, and I wanted Raymond, and that made me uncomfortable because you want to believe in Steve Yzerman and what he's going to do, but at the same time, you have your own thoughts, and you're like, oh, is he going to make the wrong pick? So this is the pick who I thought is the right pick, and I'm excited for it.
Who was the wrong pick? Who did they dodge that you didn't want at 4? Because that's where the draft started, really.
Yeah, essentially. And I don't necessarily know there was a wrong pick. I think there are just some guys who didn't move the needle as much as other guys. Cole Perfetti, I think it might just be because his name was thrown out there, since draft day. He just, by the time we got to draft day, I was kind of sick of him. I'm like, all right, we get it. And maybe one of the defensemen, I wouldn't have been upset with either of those picks. But again, you look at what they did last year. They grabbed a defenseman to everybody's surprise. And I'm just looking at it best player available. I thought it was Lucas Raymond. So I
think both of us, I don't know if I'm speaking for Chris, but I think both of us agree that Raymond was probably the 4th best prospect. Yeah. They're splitting hairs, but much like Sarah Avampato, who was just on talking about the Kings pool, I think the Red Wings have done a really good job of rebuilding their draft pool. So where does Lucas Raymond fit in with the Berggrens and I don't want to say Michael Rasmussen because he doesn't fit in anywhere, but the Morris Siders and the Jared McIsaacs. Where does Lucas Raymond fit in? Is he going to be in the NHL before them? Is he going to be right along with them? Where are we looking for Lucas Raymond and the Red Wings?
It's hard to say because I don't necessarily. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
It's hard to say because you don't necessarily know how long his path to the NHL is going to be. But I think just based on talent, draft stock, the buzz that was surrounding him when he was drafted, I think Lucas Raymond instantly becomes your 3rd or 4th best prospect if you take Filip Hronek out of the equation because he led the Detroit Red Wings in ice time last year. So I think if you take him out of the equation, there's kind of this cluster of Sider, Zadina, and then that adds Raymond. I think Joe Veleno is a step down from that, but I think he kind of slides in, and I don't know where he slides in that top tier, but I think he is ultimately just an electrifying player that the Red Wings have needed so badly in this rebuild.
Well, you said, there was really no wrong pick for them. I think Buffalo would press you for that with Jack Quinn.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing your thought behind that is the Detroit Red Wings are in a position where when you read anything on what they're in need of, it's just everything.
It's everything.
So is that kind of where you're going with that statement of there's really no wrong pick because whatever they select will help them almost immediately?
Yeah, absolutely.
Before you get here, the Columbus Blue Jackets took Yegor Chinnikov. I have never heard of this person, and I spent months doing draft prep. Anyway, sorry. Speaking of picks, the draft is going off the rails. Nolan, back to you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, yes, that is 100% correct. The team was outscored by 123 goals last season. Clearly, that screams deficiencies everywhere. And when you just look at the prospect pipeline, like I said, they had, I think, outside of Filip Hronek, one really good defensive prospect and one really good forward prospect. There's a lot of guys who show promise. You mentioned Berggren, Robert Mastroianni. There's other guys who can make their way into the equation, and I am definitely getting excited about what this team can eventually turn into, especially given the fact that they have 5 picks between 32 and 65 tomorrow. That's going to add some excitement as well. But to your point, yes, it's one of those things you just want best player available because you just want something to hit too.
You need somebody to root for.
Yes, not Michael Rasmussen, Evgeny Svechnikov, Dennis Cholowski. I can keep going.
Justin Abdelkader. Oh no,
Justin Abdelkader. Yeah.
New era though. It's the Steve Yzerman era, so you don't have to worry about
Jonathan Ericsson's gone. Trevor Daley's gone. Like it's a really, really good time to be a Detroit Red Wings fan, all things considered, in my opinion.
And they are early in the second round as well?
Yes. Yep. Okay. They have 32, and then I can't remember what the exact
one. They have
one.
like 7 more. So
yeah.
I
mean, we'll be seeing a lot of Detroit tomorrow.
But the way this draft is going, early in the second round, you're going to get a first-round talent guy. I mean, we're throwing out names right now that shouldn't be there. So Detroit is setting up nicely, I think. So
agreed, and I'm curious to see if the Abdelkader move today had anything to do with wanting to make an immediate move. My original thought was trading up or something like that, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. Steve Yzerman doesn't give out any hints, so it's almost a futile practice to guess what he's going to do.
Right. All right, man. Well, thanks for jumping on. We appreciate it. Good luck with the pick.
Thanks.
Good time to be a Red Wings
fan. Appreciate you guys. I'll be watching.
All right.
It will be.
Igor Chinnikov. I don't even know how to say his name. I'm
still scrolling to find the name. Whoa.
You got to control F that baby.
I don't know what to. That is a stretch of all stretches. And who took him?
Columbus. Jarmo Kekalainen.
Columbus.
So apparently he was a 5th rounder.
You got to be kidding me.
Who is the host of Locked on Columbus Blue Jackets? Because we need them to be like hooked into my veins right now to just tell me what's going on.
Let me see if we got him coming on.
He's coming up.
He is. He's next.
Oh man, it's going to be the sad power hour in the middle with like the Buffalo and then the Columbus Blue Jackets coming up soon. We have somebody first beforehand. That's
okay.
He'll make everybody else sad due to his team cheering. But
we were ready to anoint Buffalo the "What Were You Thinking" pick. You got 2 back-to-back with New Jersey and Columbus, so unreal.
Somebody who did screw up though, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we have Mike Distefano here to talk about my favorite non-top elite pick, Rodi Enimirov. Happy? Not happy?
You know what? I would have liked it better if they would have moved down a little bit. I thought that it's funny because when you look at his draft rankings, he's kind of all over the place. I've seen him as high as in some places 12, 13, that 15 range, and I've seen him as low as like into the late 20s, early 30s. So, but he's totally a Leafs pick, a smaller, skilled guy. But I guess he's got some two-way bite to him, which is definitely something that Toronto needs. Like I said, I would have liked them to move down, collect some other assets because they maybe still could have got him if they were able to do so. But it really just seems like tonight there is no movement going on out there out in the draft, and I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that there's no legitimate draft floor like there usually is.
Yeah.
Well, we're sorry. We're still in shock because Columbus took some guy.
I saw he was a 5th round, like projected as a 5th rounder, and he went in the 1st round.
That's what we're seeing. Like don't adjust your sets.
Shock here.
Yeah.
Did you think Toronto was going to trade that pick?
I kept saying all along that I thought one of 2 things was going to happen. They either were going to keep the pick if they felt like they were in a pretty good position free agency wise, if they felt like their conversations with the players that they're targeting were going well, that they would do their due diligence and go out and try and stock their prospect cover, which is pretty bare right now. So I do like the fact that they did take that pick because, coming up over the next few years, the Leafs, as everybody knows, are very much in cap hell. And the fact that it's, the cap's not going up at all, they need to get players on the cheap. So by drafting these guys and getting them on their ELCs, that's really going to be the way for the Leafs to kind of try and scapegoat the fact that they're so top heavy and paying their big guns so much money.
So you think they're going to have to insert him in the lineup quickly?
No, I don't think that they're going to have to do it like too quickly. I don't know if he's ready for it. I heard on the broadcast they were saying he's probably about 2 or 3 years out. I know that he's not going to be there this season. He is signed into the KHL. Okay. So at least we can't even get into the conversation until the 2022, 2020. I think 2023 season anyways. But I mean, he seems like a player who could jump into this top 6, which I guess when you look outside the big 4, there maybe is a spot there. Nick Robertson's a kid who's going to be knocking on the door pretty soon. I think that he'll play this year. Whether or not he'll be in the top 6, we'll see. But, in a couple of seasons, you don't know what's going to be happening with a player like, is Nylander going to be around in a couple of years? Is his contract going to be too much to bear? Zach Hyman's got still coming up. I'm just, I'm just trying to think of what, not that you got to think a couple of years ahead, right? That's kind of what this pick might be for that top 6 they got right now. 3 years from now, when he's ready to break into the NHL, this Amirov kid, their top 6 is going to look a lot different, and they may need somebody like him in the lineup.
Yeah, Nylander's contract being a burden is just a weird way to say Marner's contract being a burden.
Yeah, I think Marner's contract is movable. Well, it might be, but we'll see what happens.
Nylander is the most movable player in the NHL, probably.
I would rather at least keep Nylander is the thing. I would rather keep him. I just don't know what's going to happen. Kyle Dubas is kind of an enigma. We never know what he's thinking. He says he wants to get gritty, get more skill, or gritty and tougher, be harder to play against. And then he goes out and he drafts a 165-pound winger. So.
Speaking of the Leafs non-trades, the Flames just traded 22nd overall back to 24, and they got 80 with Washington. So Washington moved up 2 spots. So the Flames have picked up 74 and 80 just by trading back 6 spots.
Twice.
Good for them.
Wow.
So you said that you don't see Rodion Amirov coming into the team soon. Do you think that Toronto in the second round takes a swing at a guy that'll be ready before Rodion? Maybe they take a Murat swing or something like that, where somebody who maybe possibly gives a little more upside, or do you think they're going to go for another long-term prospect that'll take a couple years and just be really set in the future?
The thing is, it's tough to get guys when you're, picking at in the 40s and 50s to get guys who are going to be ready to go right away. But I would think that might be a good thing for them to try and do, at least if the board falls in their favor, to get a guy who might be able to play a year or 2 from now. I would have liked to see a defenseman in the first round, so maybe they go defenseman in the second round. But when it comes to trying to get guys who are going to be ready to play sooner rather than later, usually D take a lot longer to develop and get into the show. So I don't know if that's going to kind of fit with that narrative, but at some point I think that they do need to address this back end, which needs a lot of help. I thought maybe they could use that first round pick to maybe trade and get it done, but now it looks like they're going to have to do something on Friday when free agency starts. But I got it.
All right. Well, yeah, man, good luck for the rest of the draft. And we'll see how all this plays out for the Leafs. So where can people follow
How does this
you?
draft affect the Leafs?
How does it affect the Leafs? I mean, not much.
throw out where people can follow you.
You can check out the show at Locked On Leafs. Also, my own personal Twitter at Mickey_Canuck.
All right.
Perfect.
Thanks, man. Thanks for stopping on.
Cheers.
All right. All right. Waiting for the Capitals to pick. I don't know. I've stopped. Remember, did you put up a draft pick or a list of your own? And you put up so I can see how wrong I was. You're not the only one, man. Boy, is this getting blown up.
Boy, am I stupid.
Later on. No, I don't. You went from the 19th pick with the Rangers calling for your employment with the Braden Schneider pick to, we have no clue where this is going. This has gone off the rails in 2 picks. So
I feel like that's most NHL GMs, though. You should employ me, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, could be.
I wonder who Washington wants here at 22 to move up again. It's got to be one of the guys who's on the margins, either a high skill guy that shouldn't be there still, or like we saw with the Rangers, a defenseman that's going to fall. Is there a high skill guy left that they want? Is it Hendrix Lapierre?
It could be. I mean, to move up 2 spots, you really got to think highly of somebody to make that move, just to move up a couple spots. I don't know. I'm trying to look up, see who we got that hasn't been picked yet.
You got Zary, Perreault, Lapierre. Helga Grans, if you're into that kind of thing. So the Capitals are picking now.
Okay.
They picked Hendrix Lapierre.
They did. Okay. Little risky. Little risky, has immense talent, but the injuries are a big question mark with him. And I
Speaking
wonder.
Of question marks.
We'll get back to him. Yeah.
We have Jay Forster of Locked On Blue Jackets, and I feel like Chris and I should just clear out of the paint, and let you do your thing.
We have like 5 minutes per host or per guest. I almost want to just let you go off for 5 minutes. So if you need this time, I won't charge you. There's no, fee for coming in and letting anything off your chest. Take it away.
Well, I mean, I have so much research on Hendrix Lapierre that I'm just like, okay, cool. Well, that can go out the window. I will say, in like my one defense of Kekalainen, this is not the first time that he's gone kind of off the board. Obviously it's not the same as when he drafted Dubois over Puljujärvi in 2018. But yeah, I got nothing. I didn't even have this guy on my radar. So
have you heard of this person before?
Yes, I kind of had a vague eye on him last draft in one of the later rounds. But I mean, I didn't even know he was entering into this draft. I'm not gonna lie. But
you take all the time, take all the pauses you need, man. We understand. We've been there. Colorado was terrible up until 3 seconds ago. San Jose is terrible currently. We get it.
Yeah. Well, and it's a roller coaster for Blue Jackets fans. I mean, early in the day, they picked up Max Domi in a trade. So, I mean, were you feeling okay about that trade? Were you happy with that?
I mean,
no.
So like head-wise, yes. Like Domi, I think, has got a higher ceiling than Anderson. Heart-wise, I really loved Josh Anderson. I thought he got a bit of a bum deal this season. Obviously, I talked about it a little bit on the podcast last week, I think, about how he was injured for most of this season, and that kind of really played into why he only had 1 goal this entire season when he was coming off a 27-goal season. So, like, I get why we traded him, but I'm also like, I wish we could have kept him. I think Domi's going to command more money, but
probably
Domi's probably looking at like $7 million per year.
Yeah, I think 6.5, 7. I wouldn't really be happy with anything else, but apparently we're buying out Alex Wennberg as well, so like that's going to free up some cap space. So if he can play that like that second line center spot, then great, because we don't have a second line center at the minute. We barely have a third line center. Like we've been playing most of the season with Dubois as our first line, and then like Wennberg as a center, and then I think our other 2 centers were mostly Boone Jenner and Nick Foligno, both of which are actually left wings. So if we can have a second line center that can actually play like a top 6 role, then yeah, sure, go for it.
I have an existential question. Is Jarmo Kekalainen now super close to being fired, or is he safe for a long time?
I think it really depends on how this season goes. I mean, like I said before, he is famous for kind of, quote unquote, galaxy braining his picks and just kind of doing what he wants. And
has that worked out?
I mean, yeah, I would say so. Like, I mean, look at, again, Dubois, Puljujärvi. Dubois is the number 1 center. Puljujärvi is back in Finland, I believe. So, if I don't think it's going to be anything like that, I don't think this kid's going to turn up and be a superstar, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does better than people think. Like Columbus is pretty good at picking up guys that no one thought was going to be any good and then turning them into, a fairly serviceable kind of mid-round, mid 6 player. So.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have anything. I have nowhere to go with this.
Trying to spin it as positively as I can.
And I appreciate that,
like...
and you should. I mean, this is your team. You want to hold out hope and think that they know something that we don't, and maybe they do. Who knows? But this was a definite shock. I went to the Elite Prospects website, and I just kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling before I got to his name. And I don't think I've gotten there yet. But I like I said, you put your trust in the guys that make these decisions, and they clearly see something.
Yeah, I mean, Jarmo has made very few decisions that I've outright hated.
Mm-hmm.
So I am willing to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt, but this one. It's a tough choice,
right,
considering we didn't have a first rounder last year, and then this year we've picked up this guy.
You do this. So.
This could. Hopefully, it doesn't work out this way, but hopefully, it doesn't turn out where the second, third, and fourth round picks are all better than your first round pick, because that's never a good time to be.
But
well,
at least you have tons of content for the next couple of weeks.
Oh
you can break this down.
I've got weeks.
All right, well, we'll let you go study Igor and see what's going on. Where can they find you?
So you can find the Locked On podcast at LO_Blue Jackets. You will find me at Jay the Goalie. And I will not have a podcast up tonight, probably, because it's 3 a.m. for me right now. But bright and early tomorrow morning, I will no doubt have more yelling about how disappointed I am that we didn't get Lapierre.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Everybody go check out Locked On Blue Jackets for all your sad first round analysis.
I have a feeling that's going to make the top 10 next week. People are going to want to know who this guy is. They're going to be tuning into his show. We have who's up. The Flyers are kind of on the
Flyers are making a pick right now, and
we'll get that in a second.
Here we go.
Okay.
Tyson Forster at 23 to Philly.
Okay, that's.
I don't want to say a reach, but kind of a baby reach.
A little bit. I thought he was going to be one of those last picks in the first round.
Maybe slides into the second round.
Yes.
Goes like 37. You never know.
Right, exactly. So, all right. So he is there. So now Calgary is on the clock. Does Calgary trade for a third time today?
I hope so.
We don't know.
Sick.
We don't know. That would be impressive. But joining us right now, Jason Hernandez from Locked On Ducks. How are we doing today, Mr. Hernandez?
How am I doing? I'm
You
doing
gotta be
better
happy.
now that it's been past the fallout. If you ask Ducks Twitter, was that on purpose? I don't know. They're generally okay with the pick because Jamie Drysdale was the best, I guess, overall selection. He was the best player available. Sure. Did the Ducks need defense?
Yes.
Sure, I guess. But they needed a winger much, much more. So I would say it's tepid. It's a tepid reaction in Anaheim.
Really? Because I feel like they needed Jamie Drysdale desperately.
They probably needed a winger more than they needed a defenseman. Yeah, the power play is abysmal. It's one of the worst in the NHL. And he would be great to quarterback that power play. But where the Ducks are very thin, and it's going to become very evident after next year, is going to be the wing position. Because you look at some of those second, third, fourth line wingers, and you got Danton Heinen as a winger. I mean, do you have confidence in Danton Heinen? Do you have confidence in Carter Rowney? Do you have confidence in Andrew Agozzino? I mean, most people don't.
Well, don't they have like the rest of the prospect pool for forwards? Don't they have Troy Terry and they have Max Comtois and they have Sam Steele? Those are good forward prospects.
Sam Steele is a good prospect. He's already on the Ducks. He actually played the majority of last season on the Ducks, and he's already on the third line. And he's more of a natural center anyway, so you kind of take that out of the equation. And then you also have Max Jones, who is a good winger, but he was inconsistent at times last year. And you have Troy Terry in that same position. But it's the same thing. They came up maybe a little too soon for several Ducks fans. Credit. So I am okay with the pick because Drysdale is a fantastic defenseman. He's got excellent edge work, one of the best 200-foot players in the draft. So for that, I'm okay with it.
Well, who were you kind of focused on? Who were you wanting them to take if it was outside of Drysdale?
There was 2 players that a lot of Ducks fans wanted to see. One that I was high on for the longest time went directly after the Ducks pick, and that was Alexander Holtz, who does have the best pure shot in the draft, and the Devils are lucky to have him. Very, very lucky. But then you look at the Devils. The Devils needed defense, and the Ducks needed a winger more, and they kind of flip-flop the pick. So when you have Trey Matthews on from Locked On Devils, he kind of feels the same way, saying, why don't we just swap the picks a la the 1993 NBA draft, for those of you that remember Chris Webber, Penny Hardaway. Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest need. The biggest need for the Ducks was on the wing, but they will definitely take a quarterbacking power play specialist. I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm still okay with it, but we were hoping more for Holtz at that point.
Well,
Lucas Raymond was going to be a stretch, but that was kind of a pipe dream.
You do have another pick shortly here.
Coming up in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Pick.
You could go that route. And, like Kyle and I have been saying, the last few picks here have just been odd. So there's, you're talking about Anaheim needing a winger.
There's one on my eye.
This draft is pretty deep with wingers anyway. So who would you like them to see that I hope the Avalanche takes in front of you?
There's one easy. They could very well do that. That would have to be John Jason. I think he's going to be probably. You see why I like that name? Come on, Jason's my name. John Jason Peterka, who I think could be a very good prospect. And if you hear today's Locked On Anaheim Ducks, that was one of the names mentioned. One of the more interesting names mentioned as a possible late first round pick. He is from the DEL. He is from EHC Munich. 5'11", $192. Very, very good shot. Very fast skater. What I like about his game is he will get down in the corners and he'll play the dirty pucks. He'll play those corners very effectively.
Right.
So that's one name that I'm very much. I actually have the stream. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the draft to my right now. So I have this whole setup going on over here that you guys probably cannot see at the moment. But I'm just watching, going, could they get John Jason?
That was the number one guy on my list that I was hoping the Avalanche would take. But there are guys dropping to them right now, and the one that I would take over Peterka at this point is Connor Zary. So if Calgary doesn't pick him right here, that's my he would be replacing Peterka for me. So
I have a feeling Connor Zary is going to get picked right now by Calgary. They could always use some center depth, so that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling Zary's going to go right now in about 15 seconds.
All right, well, thanks for coming on the
show. Where can they find? As Brad Treliving takes his time here, where can everybody find you, JD?
They can find me crying. I'm kidding. They can find me at LO_Ducks. They can find my personal Twitter at StimpyJD. And Kyle, I'm glad you're on. Just to clear one thing, I know you're Locked On Sharks, and you guys do a fantastic job over there. And I know we kind of go back and forth a little bit, but it's all in good fun. I cannot wait to have you on the final Locked On Jeopardy episode, since you are still the top scorer ever on Locked On Jeopardy. And you got to come back and win the grand final.
All right. I will be the Ken Jennings of your tournament. That sounds good to me. Thanks for coming on, JD.
And also represent Hockey Fights Cancer.
I was going to say you win the best dressed award so far. So
thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
And all right, man. To complete it, Willie O'Reilly.
Oh, you gotta love it,
Fedora. There we go. Have a good night, fellas.
Thanks, man.
See you, JD.
All right.
I think we're gonna go move right into Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils. He'll be popping in here. Lots to talk about with Trey because the Devils decided to have all of the first round picks. And I feel like they started up on the top of the mountain with Alexander Holtz. Can't go wrong there. And then they went to Dawson Mercer, a newfie back in the NHL. Great pick. And then they kind of ripped up their draft board like this and went with Shakir Mukhamadullin. So I don't know where you want to start, but you have lots to work with here.
I have lots to work with, and how much time do I have?
You have until the Avalanche make their pick.
Okay, so not a lot of time. What can I say? So I was like, okay, if JD's prediction is correct, JD was the previous guy you guys were speaking to. I was like, okay, we're gonna get Jamie Drysdale. We're gonna get Jamie Drysdale. We're gonna get Jamie Drysdale. The Ducks are proud to select Jamie Drysdale from the Ottawa Otters, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me! Oh, so close. So close.
Well, that's what he was saying. He was saying, you know, it worked out where those two teams flip-flopped. So he thought that, you know, you guys really wanted Drysdale, and he thought the Ducks were going to go after Holtz. But
right. But what can I say about Holtz? I touched on him back in August about potentially joining the Devils because I saw that he was projected to go to us. Holtz is a great scorer. He's a great winger. I think the two problems that he has are his defense and his acceleration. I think those are his two biggest weaknesses, but obviously those could be developed over time. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that was the best one on the board. I mean, Rossi was still – I mean, at least we are not the Sabres. At least we're not the Sabres. That's all I can say.
I feel like everybody can say at least we're not the Sabres.
I don't know.
At least once a day. I like the Dawson Mercer pick too. That's another good center to add to all the centers you already have with Hischier and Jack Hughes. But let's get to the real fun. What are they doing at 20?
I have no idea. I've never heard of this guy. He's from Russia. Try saying his name. I'm just going to call him Shakir because I do not want to say his last name. Mukhamadullin.
McModellin.
Okay, McModellin. So they need a defense. I always said we need to get a defenseman, but I was leaning towards more like Sanderson or Drysdale early in the draft. Obviously, that didn't work out, but I never thought about this guy from Russia, and I'm still just trying to figure out who is this guy. Where'd he come from? In his last game in the KHL league, he played in 14 games, had 6 total points, 1 goal, 5 assists. Plus minus is 4. So
I'm going to give you a heads up. He could literally be Nick Lidstrom or me. He's literally on the scale. You can find any comparable you want to that guy.
That's a huge scale. That's a tremendous scale. So we're talking about from Kazoo to Toronto, whatever the case might be. We're talking about that far range. So this is not good, and I will give the kid a chance. I will give the kid a chance.
Yeah, you got to.
Okay, clearly he's not a points getter, but I don't know what they were thinking about this guy. Do you guys know anything about him? All I know is that he's not going to get a lot of points. Well, he's a defenseman, so he's one of those defensemen who's probably just a stay-at-home defender, which I kind of like, but I don't think that'll fit in Lindy Ruff's style because I stated this in my show. Lindy Ruff likes to play two-way. So I don't know how this is going to go well. I don't know. Dawson Mercer was an absolute steal, I believe. I thought he would go a little earlier, but I see potential in Mercer. So I'm excited for that. 2019-2020 season playing in the QMJHL. He put up 42 total points in just 26 games. That's really impressive right there. I see potential, but like I said, Jack Hughes was the number 1 overall pick a couple of years ago, or how many years? Just like a year ago, full year ago. We'll just, for the sake of this, we'll just say a full calendar year, and didn't live up to expectations. So, it's really, it's give or take. I like Alexander Holtz. I will touch on him more in my show. I touched on him back in August. I was for sure thinking he was going to go to the Ducks because JD says that the Ducks love their Swedish players, and they decided to go with Drysdale, and
well, like you said, you got to give the guy a chance. I mean, and I've been saying this to like these questionable picks. People in charge see something, so
or just completely stupid,
or that if you want to say.
At least he was mocked. Like I know Will Scouching of Scouching had him at like 27 or something like that, first round, but he was the only one. Most people had him in the second round, so it's not like they went to the 5th round,
right? Exactly,
and grabbed somebody. So there is that. And I feel like the Devils kind of have a good future bubbling up here with the guys that are on the roster, the guys they've taken
It would be more complete if we could get rid of Subban or Zajac. One of those two. It would be perfect. Like icing on the cake. We're ready for our full rebuild. We have some veterans on the team, but they're not going to eat away our huge salary. We can develop our young guys. Hopefully, Heiser and Hughes can just get a little bit better because Heiser, I think, is what you see, what you get. Hughes, you're the first overall pick, man. You got to step it up. But I will give him this. Maybe the Hugheses just get off to slow starts because Jack Hughes' brother also got off to a very slow start in his rookie year campaign. Next year, he becomes an all-star. So maybe it's just a Hughes thing. So, we'll see what happens. But I'm excited for the Devils' future, and I'm looking forward to seeing our young guys. I'm looking forward to seeing next year's draft. I know that's a full year away, but still, when you're rebuilding, that's all you can look forward to. I'm not looking forward to the season because we're going to put up a lot of L's, but and I'm also looking forward to the expansion draft for Seattle to see if maybe they take away a couple of our players, one or two. But that's all I got.
All right, man. Thank you so much for jumping on. We'll be in touch. All right.
Oh, have a good one, Trey. Chris,
thank you.
Do you want to know who they picked?
I just saw it.
Oh boy, I'll clear out.
What? Come on, boy! Like, what is? I need to process right now, man.
While you process, let me just throw some Justin Barron facts out there.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Barron had a blood clot last year, which caused him to miss a lot of the season. Blood clots are fixable with medication and stuff. He was in consideration as one of the top defense talents with Drysdale for a long time. That was his thing. When he came back from the blood clot, he wasn't very good, probably because he was coming back from a blood clot. So I think there is something there if you go pre-blood clot, Justin Barron. I think there's something there. But it's also Justin Barron. And when you look at the draft board,
well, first of all, just taking a defender is questionable for the Avalanche. They are stacked on D, especially in their youth movement. They have focused on that ever since their awful season, which was not that long ago. Their defense was something that they needed to fix, and they have. They must be. I mean, he's not NHL ready right now. And none of these guys at this point in the game are. So you are either going to move to the young guys that you have taken, like your Bone Byrams, and you are anticipating bringing him up and then having more defenders kind of play wherever they're going to play and get them seasoned before you're going to bring them up. They were good on defense. This is questionable because you needed, and again, even though he's not somebody that's going to play for a year or two, you're a great offensive team, but you still needed maybe like another winger or two to really flesh out that middle six, bottom six. I don't know here, man. I think picking Zari right before with Calgary, I can't imagine they would have passed on him if he was there.
Put Sakic into the mental pretzel. Anytime that you can pick a guy 25th overall that's considered a minute muncher, not ideal. You want a little more skill than that. It's just weird because, like you said, they have Makar and Girard, and then Byram, and also Connor Timmins.
Yeah.
And Timmins. I don't know, but I think it's time to laugh, Chris. I think it's time to laugh. I think it's time.
All right.
I think it's
yeah. Make me feel better right now. And how can we do that? How can we make me feel better?
We can do that by bringing in Joe DiBiase of Locked On Sabres and asking him why Kevin with a Y decided to take the inferior Ottawa 67 at 8 when the better one was on the board.
He's muted. We can't hear him.
You're on mute.
Unmute. But so
maybe the Sabres should have kept their mic muted, and then somebody was like, it's muted, and then they just changed to a different pick. That would have been nice.
Well, you get your audio situated. Like we're both like we like Jack Quinn. It's not like we don't think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a good player, but it's just one of those things where the players on the board, you elevated him above those guys, which is the questionable thing. So, this is Joe's audio. I'll No.
Try unplugging Josh Allen and plugging him back.
Yeah, try doing that. I think he just doesn't want to talk. I think he.
It's tough times. Tough times to be a Buffalo fan in all aspects. It's a tough hang, being up there and across the lake from me.
Right.
Oh man, it's actually kind of funnier that his mic was muted. That's good stuff right there. Just as a personal aside, San Jose is looking nice at 31 right now.
And were you thinking that maybe 2 hours ago?
Nope.
I mean, who are you hoping that they're going to take? We haven't really even discussed that, but
buddy, Noel Gunler is sitting there
really
needing to be taken by San Jose.
Oh man,
he just wants to be a Shark.
Oh my god!
All right, this isn't Joe.
All right.
We have Rachel Donner of Locked On Flyers.
Yes, we'll get back to Joe if we can, because I'm sure the whole world wants to hear about Mr.
Jack Quinn.
But for now, Rachel, is your audio working, Rachel?
I think so, yeah.
All right, perfect.
There we go.
Wonderful. So
Tyson Forster, what's all that about?
Yeah, another guy with a skating problem. Although I can see why they picked him, because the Flyers have been a little bit weak on the sniper front as of late, and that's what this kid is. So if you want somebody with a really great shot and who can do it in motion and also static, he's your guy. It's just that he apparently can't skate. So maybe he can be the trailer and then just set up shop, and then somebody will pass it to him and he'll take a great shot. But,
having a cannon. So there's always that to look forward to.
Was he was he on the Flyers radar? Did you anticipate this, or is this out of the realm?
Didn't, and especially with who was left on the board at the time, I really thought they would have gone with Gunler or with or with Perreault. I think those would have been like more predictable options for the Flyers. And Hendrix Lapierre, I'm not sure why the Caps traded up for him in that moment, just because if I'm the Flyers, I'm not picking another kid with like head injury trauma, given the Nolan Patrick situation. That it's like, it's not that it would have been a good risk if they didn't already have Nolan Patrick, but because of that situation, I don't think they would want another similar situation. So I think he could have been a good pick, but I just don't see the Flyers having done that. So I guess Tyson Forster it is.
Okay. All right. I was hoping they were going defense selfishly, because and we've talked about this before too. Who is that guy that St. Louis just picked?
Jake Neighbors is a second round talent that should have been taken here anyway.
We've done crossover shows before. I am a big Shane Gostisbehere fan. And want him on Colorado badly, so I was kind of hoping they would pick a defender to try to kind of just move him out the door, maybe a little bit quicker. It seems like maybe he is out the door. I don't know. Give me an update on him.
I think that he would have definitely been out the door if Matt Niskanen had not suddenly retired. I think that changed the landscape for the Flyers entirely. And so I think that they'll move Gostisbehere, but only in the exact right situation. If it's to make room for, say, a Pietrangelo, I think, which I don't think is happening. But still, like, that's the kind of move that they would have to make. Or if, I know the talks with Winnipeg about Line A have cooled down a little bit, but there was rumors about the Flyers and Jets making a move on that front, but that the Jets wanted too much. So I could have maybe seen Gostisbehere as part of that deal, but I just think that they were definitely going to pick a forward. And if they picked a defenseman, it might have been Emile Andre.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, what was the Flyers' biggest need coming into this draft? What were you hoping that they would take?
A shooting forward. I just wanted one that could skate.
All right, fair. That's tough. That's a tough look.
Yeah, I think a winger, like if you were gonna target by position, a winger was the way that they needed to go. And Forster plays wing. He can play center too, but so I think that he is the right neighborhood of players that the Flyers really needed to take a look at.
It made sense.
But in like my personal favorite person on the draft board that I thought was a realistic pick for the Flyers was JJ Peterka, but I just knew it wasn't going to happen. That was just my personal emotional need.
Why wasn't it going to happen?
I just didn't think he's the type of players that the Flyers would typically pick. I think his style just didn't really go. And they already have Nick Aube-Kubel, who is a very similar player and is also pretty young. So I think that they were really going to target a different kind of need this time around. And the only player that was picked above the Flyers that I thought was a reasonable availability pick for the Flyers was Lukas Reichel. So, I can't really complain overall in terms of, the players we looked at that I thought were realistic options at 23.
Okay.
How do you think Forster fits into the Farabee Frost, Nick Aube-Kubel? I can never say that guy's name. How do you think he fits into the next wave here? Does he come up with those guys, or is he going to be behind them? Is he going to be a third line guy and those guys are all in the first line?
I think he comes in maybe a year and a half to 2 years behind those guys. I think Frost has a real good chance of cracking the lineup in the next year, depending on how everything plays out with potential trades and whatnot. But I think that, and Farabee has established his spot on the team. So I really think that maybe a year and a half, 2 years, he'll probably play one more year down before cracking the pros.
Not bad. And hopefully he learns how to skate in that time.
That is the plan.
Kind of important.
All
right.
I'm just relieved to not have Craig Button yelling at me anymore.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
All right, Rachel. Thank you for stopping on. I want to throw out where people can find you in the show.
We're at Locked On Flyers on Twitter, and I'm at rmiriam on Twitter.
All right.
Perfect.
Thanks for dropping by. Good luck with that skating. All right.
The Ducks just took Jacob Perreault, and my God, that guy is mad skilled.
Yeah.
Joe!
Are we good?
No.
We're still not.
Much like Kevin Adams.
This is a bad day all around. You either, apparently. for the Sabres. Just a bad day all around for the Sabres.
Yeah, not a good look for our guys in Buffalo land. Jacob Perreault, really good pick.
Yeah.
Son of Yannick, which is always awesome. Yannick was sick. Amazing, the best face-off man in the history of the NHL. But really good pick by the Ducks. I think that's a guy. These are the type of guys that we're going to see fall when you've got your Yegors and your Shakirs and your Jake Neighbors going high and your Justin Barons. These are the type of guys that teams like the Ducks and the Knights and Sharks and top of the next round are going to be able to take, is these first-round talents that are just drifting on away to them.
I would have been happy with this guy. His shot is incredible. It is a howitzer.
There's a lot of guys with good shots, and Maverick Bourque is still on the board. That guy has a cannon.
That's true. That's the thing, man. I'm my head is spinning with oh my God, I can't believe this guy. You're expecting guys to go in different areas and earlier and later, but we're pulling guys from thin air, and it's just throwing me off on who's left. And forget about Bourque. Bourque is a highly rated guy.
Bourque is awesome.
He is, yeah, man. And even Brisson. Brisson is still there.
It's a good look. But now we actually get to be happy again because Jack Bushman from Locked On Chicago is here, and he took a player that we both love and both were secretly hoping would fall to San Jose and Colorado at the end of the draft. But do you think Lukas Reichel was a reach at 17, or are you okay with that?
I'm 100% okay with it. Can you guys hear me good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I'm 100% happy with the pick. I was actually thinking that the Blackhawks were going to take Dawson Mercer. There were a lot of rumors that he was their guy, so I was expecting Mercer, but I was really hoping it was either going to be Reichel or Connor Zary, one of those two guys. I really liked what I saw from both of them. So Reichel might have been a little bit of a reach, but hey, if he's their guy, you take him wherever you think it's best fit for your team. So I was happy with the pick.
Exactly. Where do you think he slots in with the Blackhawks? How long do you think it takes for him to really make an impact?
Yeah, he actually just had his post-draft interview with the Blackhawks, and he said with 100% confidence he's 2 years away from being NHL ready. So, and
Okay.
he also just turned 18 back in May. He played in Germany's top professional league last year as a 17-year-old, which is just nuts. So him being NHL ready at 20, that's, people are probably going to be a little upset by him saying he's still 2 years from the NHL when, we took him in the middle of the first round, but that's not unrealistic being how young he is. So I'm really excited. He's also going to get great experience playing over in a really good league in Germany. So I think it's set up for him to be successful and then come right in when he's ready in 2 years and play a big role for the Blackhawks, I'm hoping.
So do you think he plays one more year in the DEL and then plays for, is it still Rockford or Chicago Wolves?
Yeah, it's still Rockford. We still got Rockford.
So do you think he plays one more year in the DEL as an 18-year-old and then he comes over and plays a year in the A? Or do you think it's 2 years in the DEL, or is he coming right over to the A this year?
I don't know. I feel like an overseas guy, he's probably only going to go over there when he's going to play big-time hockey, I feel like. I don't know, but that's just my thoughts on it. He also has played for the German programs for Berlin throughout his whole career, so he's probably pretty comfortable over there. I wouldn't be surprised if he played 2 seasons. It's also a good league, not a knock on the AHL by any means, but I think he's still getting valuable experience in the DEL. It could be an option, though, certainly for the Blackhawks if they think that's the best case scenario for him and he sees it the same.
Now, was there anybody, you had mentioned that the Blackhawks you had heard they were also thinking of Mercer, who was picked right after. Was there anybody that you in particular were targeting that you would have been okay with, or was was Reichel always the guy that you were looking at?
As I said, I was hoping Reichel and Zary. I was thinking Dawson Mercer was definitely going to be in there too. Dylan Holloway was rumored to be in that group. He obviously went a couple picks before. I saw Askarov starting to slide a little bit, and I was like, maybe it's the right day, boys. But I don't know. I'm happy with Reichel. I thought he was a sleeper. I really didn't think Stan in the front office was going to make this pick, but I'm really happy they did. I think he plays a game that's going to translate well to the NHL. I'm super excited.
So, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, and where do they go from here? Like, what are other needs that the Blackhawks that have that they can address in the rest of the draft?
That was my question. They have 46. That's not too far away, and there's lots of good players sliding.
Yeah, they've actually talked about taking. There's been rumors that they really want to take a goaltender in the second or third round. They probably thought Askarov was not going to be a realistic option for them in the first round, and there's been rumors of Joel Blomqvist in the second round. He's supposed to be the second goalie to go, so he's a possible option there. I don't really know much about him. Came from over in Sweden. And then also Sam Colangelo, he played for the Chicago Steel in the USHL. He's someone that his name's been brought up a couple times. So I think if Colangelo's still there, I don't know if he's going to be at 46. That might be a little bit wishful.
Hey, I hear so much, like he could go.
I know.
Anywhere.
I've heard late first round, middle second round.
Yeah,
he's kind of a wild card there. If he falls there, I'd be so happy to have him. If not, it sounds like they could be going goalie in the second round. If not the second, then it's really sounding like the third.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Goalies are always just
you never know.
It's just a prayer. It's just a prayer.
Right.
So we've really struggled to draft goalies in the past. So kind of a needle in the haystack, but we need one. So hopefully something can work out for us.
All right.
What do you think of their biggest need? Like, not their biggest need. What are you hoping? Are you hoping that they make a trade to get an NHL player now, or do you hoping they just keep making picks and just kind of the next couple seasons rebuild, move forward, and kind of move forward that way?
It's really a tough position to be in, because of the salary cap. It's not going up now, and Brent Seabrook, Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, Duncan Keith, those guys are still taking up a significant portion of our cap. So it's tough because we don't want to go in full rebuild mode. We don't really want to be giving up assets to we don't want to be giving up draft picks or assets right now, but at the same time, we still want to be competitive. It's like we're in this limbo right now. We almost don't want to look at ourselves in the mirror and admit we almost have to kind of start over. So it's difficult. They're probably going to be pretty quiet in free agency, not much cap room. They got to go get Kubalik, Strome, and Crawford / a number one goalie. So it's going to be tough. Looking at 2020, 2021, it's going to be mostly the same roster they had last year, which is a bit concerning for sure.
All right, man. Thanks for jumping on the line. Good luck
absolutely.
With the pick.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, we'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Have a good rest of your night and
right,
enjoy the rest of the first round.
Thanks, bud. All right.
Ridley Grieg just went to the Senators.
Another guy that I had on the list for Colorado.
Boy, that's kind of terrible. I don't like Ridley Grieg.
Really?
Nah.
Really? I do like him. I like him. I think he's going to be popping up here.
So that means that Ottawa got.
Just look at the look. He's so happy right now.
Jacob Pro is unreal.
He can't contain his excitement.
Oh, who, me?
No. And he didn't eat. He's still in costume too. Like he felt he didn't, or maybe he just threw it back on quickly.
Okay, so this was the last thing I wore at the pond, March 11th, the night that the NHL shut down, because it was when Bouwmeester came back. Remember, that was the rescheduled game at the pond. Was that mid-March game? So when the Blues came back, I was like, I'm going to wear the Hockey Fights Cants are going to go like the whole 9 yards, because there was a feeling it could be the last game. Yeah, I'm not going to take this off for the whole night. But yeah, the Ducks got their winger that they needed. They needed a right wing shot, and they got it. That pick just came down, and I'm very happy about it personally. And already across my Twitter, people are pretty happy about it. Ducks Twitter is liking the fact that they got a very good winger. Here's what I can tell you. All right. There is some NHL pedigree there. As you guys very effectively pointed out, yeah, he's got some pedigree. You guys remember some guy by the name of, I don't know, Yannick Perreault?
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very good player. Played in the league for a long time. What I like about him, and he actually was... Well, go ahead.
What you like about Yannick is face-offs?
I liked a lot about Yannick. I thought he was really awesome. No, he's a heavy player. He's probably one of the fastest players in the NHL draft. He can get from end to end just like that. Something I've noticed with the Ducks, with Drysdale and Perreault, is they've got two very high-quality skaters that can really move the puck. They can generate offense. They are not going to be stagnant on the power play anymore, thank God. You guys don't know how many times I was at the pond and I heard below me, shoot! And I just saw the captain. It's very appropriate.
No, nobody does that.
Yeah, no one does that, especially in, I don't know, Tampa Bay. God.
San Jose?
Mm-hmm. I've been to the Shark Tank, buddy. I know how it is up there.
I mean, you said they needed a scoring, and he can bring that. We briefly were touching on the shot that he has, which is just ridiculous. So that was 57 games played, 39 goals, 31 assists, 70 points in 57 games. Welcome to Anaheim.
There was two guys on the list there, and Jacob Perreault, I did not think was going to stay, honestly. I thought he was going to get picked maybe 26. The pick before, I thought he was going to go. When I saw that 26 pick go up, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very happy to land that pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
So overall, the Ducks with two very solid first-round picks. And they've had some good late first-round picks in the past. Ricard Raquel being one of those late picks, and he's an all-star. And the Ducks got him late in the first round a few years ago.
Did they take Shea Theodore late, too?
They took Shea Theodore late. I was going to mention that. So, yes.
Yeah, man. I like what Anaheim's done today. I do.
Honestly, now that I'm thinking more about it, more Ducks fans are very happy with the Jacob Perreault goal. I have a couple of right now the polls are up. And right now, Jacob Perreault, they are grading that an A pretty overwhelmingly.
Sure.
Yeah, A over an F. So
I
like it.
Jeez.
So thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and I'm going to leave this on for the whole night. I might record in a whole suit tonight, because why not? I'm rocking it. Got nothing else.
The Ducks have had a good day. You might as well keep the good mojo going.
Maybe they'll jump back in there and
it's their first
steal the Sharks pick.
No.
Good day in 7 months, guys. Okay, it's been a long time. So I will take any victory, but thanks a lot, guys.
All right, man.
And we're rocking it.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
So Vegas just took Brendan Brisson, who is sick, but this means that we have 30 and 31 left, and that means there's only one pick standing in the way between me and Christmas Gunler.
And Christmas is that his nickname now?
Well, Noel is Christmas in French, right?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, very true.
This is similar to the Merkley, where the Merkley draft, Merkley started falling, but Joe Veleno started falling, and I was like, man, they could take Joe Veleno, but then they took Merkley. This is, I really hope Dallas doesn't screw us over here.
But, and I'm not trying to, screw you over or anything like that. Gunler is exactly the type of guy Dallas would pick, I feel.
Yeah. So quickly before, they just put the best available up on Sportsnet here. So it's Gunler, Paterka, Helga Grons, who I would be pretty happy with, Jan Misak, who I'd be happy with, Luke Evangelista they have up there, and not so much, Maverick Bork, and then William Wallinder is their top kind of like board. Another player that we haven't really mentioned much that I would really like them is Marat Kuznetsov. I don't know how to say his last name. Marat, the Russian guy. I would be very happy with him there.
Okay.
There as well, too.
There's value, man. There's a lot of value there. So, I mean, is Gunler being available with all those other names? You'd still go
for the fences.
Wow.
That's all you can do. Okay. And San Jose needs the high upside swing for the fences because they have a lot of high priced players. Yeah. They're getting older. They need to have that infusion of talent. Merkley's their best prospect, and he's highly talented, which is great. But if you look at their forwards, Shimolevsky, Chekovich, Blickfield, not a lot going on there in terms of high end talent. This isn't a Avalanche situation where they are very top heavy because they have so many good players, and they've built around that with like the Donskoys and the Kadris and Ian Coles and stuff like that. San Jose needs talent, and so taking a high floor, low ceiling guy isn't going to cut it in my eyes. Okay, just personally, I think they need to swing on some talent.
Okay.
But
how much time on the clock for
Dallas has 2:50 left.
Okay. All right. So before that, we will move over to we have Harrison Lee on the line, I believe.
Of Locked On Jets.
Harrison, you there? No, he is not.
Winnipeg doesn't have internet, which is an issue.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
There we go. Yeah,
it's not coming from Winnipeg. I had the double mic muted. So.
All right. How you doing? How you feeling? Winnipeg landing Cole Perfetti at number 10.
Noted Rubik's Cube solver.
Yes, very solid. I think in less than a minute he can solve those bad boys, which is great. That'll help him somewhere. So you're happy with that?
I don't know if I can explain my happiness in words. I think that I was like yelling and screaming a little bit because I was expecting this draft to be kind of odd, but I did not anticipate one of my top centers falling to the Jets. The choice was going to be between Rossi and Perfetti. I was going to be thrilled with either. I literally could not believe that Perfetti was just sitting there waiting for the Jets. I was so beyond thrilled.
Yeah.
Would you have been happy with Jack Quinn? Because I know he was around that 10 mark. Would you have been happy with Jack Quinn at the end of the day?
No, I probably would have wanted Lundell there just because I think Lundell addresses more of an organizational need. And for me, I just think Lundell's potential, especially for what the Jets are looking for, makes a lot more sense. Quinn, I think, is in some ways a little bit underrated, but I would not have been super in love with the idea of him as a top 10 pick. I would have probably seen that more. And like, if the Jets wanted Quinn, trade down. He was probably going to go top 10 anyways, but I would still be a little bit hesitant if Quinn was around to have that be the pick.
So you were good. I mean, after Buffalo picked Quinn, you said you were going between Rossi and Perfetti. Odds are they were going to take one of those guys. You were. I mean, I would assume right after Buffalo picked, you were already jumping up and down.
I was starting to jump up and down hesitantly, but still jumping up and down. at Sanderson, because like Sanderson, once that domino fell, everything else started to fall into place. I just needed one more, and I thought it was going to be Askarov, to be honest. That's what I was anticipating.
Really? Even with Hellebuck in the fold?
Yeah.
Forever? Oh, no, I was thinking that Askarov was going to go probably somewhere around Minnesota's pick. I just thought it was going to pan out differently a little bit, just because I feel like Askarov's one of those rare doves, and people tend to prize those goalie prospects a little bit, but I wasn't sure how that was all going to pan out. So, I mean, the fact that Quinn went 8th overall, I feel like was a huge blessing for the Jets.
All right.
Well, yes, we can say it confidently that it was a blessing for the Jets because they got a guy fall to them who shouldn't have been there. Like, honestly, Perfetti was ranked 4 or 5 the entire year. So I think the Jets ultimately have to be happy at the end of the day. What do you think they're going to do on day 2? I don't think they have a pick in round 2.
We have the 40th overall.
Oh, yeah, I just can't read. Good for me. So they've addressed that need. The Dallas Stars took Maverick Bourque. It's Gunler time, boys.
Oh boy. Okay.
So anyway, sorry. Back to the Jets. What do you think they're doing at 40 here?
Well, I'm a little less familiar with some of the prospects past like the first round. But one name I have heard bandied about is Helge Grans. That could be somebody that they take a look at. I think that they also want to think a little bit about defense, just because right now the blue line pipeline is pretty decent, but I feel like they also need somebody who's a good transitional skater. One thing that there's like a central skill that the Jets defense lacks right now, and that's getting the puck out of your own end while skating. A lot of times they just kind of like try to throw it out and hope for the best, which isn't really a great strategy if you're looking for zone clearances, especially controlled exits. But there might be some guys like that. I could also see them trying for another middle 6 center. I'm not sure I think Jan Mysak might still be on the board. I like Mysak. Yeah, I think Mishak's still there. I like his skill set. He could be an intriguing forward. There's like a lot of good talent, just because I think the back half of this first round has been a little strange. Columbus going off the board kind of upset, I think, some of the rankings. There have been some players who were probably taken a few picks earlier than maybe they should have been. It's been a very interesting like last 15 or so, just because I think it's been a little bit. Yes, somebody's talking about in the comments, John Jacob Paterka, Gunler. I think that there's some really, really intriguing middle 6 prospects out there for the Jets.
Absolutely. It's amazing the talent that's left right now. Going back to Perfetti, what's his future like? Where is he signed on with anybody? Is he like what's his like how long are we waiting for him to make it to Winnipeg?
Perfetti is a really interesting player because I don't think he's going to need much to join the Jets. I think that did you have a different thought, or I was thinking?
No, I was going to say I think he could play in the NHL next year. Outside of Lafreniere, I think he might be the most NHL ready prospect. I don't think he's necessarily the best prospect. I think he's NHL ready, and I think you could maybe see him on the Jets. There's a world where he's on the Jets next year.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I mean, he could. That's stat wise, 61 games, 37 goals, 74 assists, 111 points. That's production.
I think for him, the biggest thing that he wanted to work on was his skating stride and building a bit more muscle mass to be pro ready. I think that his brain works at a phenomenally high level. Like his spatial awareness is insane. His vision and distribution are amazing. He's got a very good shot. And so if his skating stride, which he's already been working on skating during the off season, if that starts to get to pro caliber, and I don't think he has to really improve that much, I could see him taking on like a third line center role for the Jets. I don't know. I think Winnipeg is kind of at the point where they're a little bit desperate for help down the middle, especially creative help. And of course, the Line A trade rumors, they've been going for days now. This may change the math for Line A little bit because he's been asking for somebody good to play with. If you want a really creative playmaker down the middle, maybe this is the way to get one more season, see if things work out a little bit better. You get a bit more support. Maybe it changes his mind. Maybe he wants to stay. For me, I don't know if that's really going to happen, but I think for the Jets, Perfetti has really changed the math. I mean, this is for the Jets probably a franchise-defining moment.
Franchise-defining moment.
Wow.
They so what you're saying is it's all smiles in Manitoba.
Yeah, I think that this could. I mean, the only way that this could have been maybe a little bit better is if like Rossi had fallen, but there's just no real complaints to have between Rossi and Perfetti.
No, I really like Perfetti, and I don't like that he's in the division. So there's that. All right, man. Yeah, thanks for stopping on. Great pick. I think that was one of the better picks of the first round, falling to him. So good luck with him, and thanks for jumping on the show.
Thanks so much for having me on. Have a great night, guys.
All right, you too, bud.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what's the time for St.
1:30. 1:30. So JJP is on the board and Gunler's on the board. Okay. I want Gunler first. I want JJP second. I guess I want a trade down if they're not going to take either of those guys. Actually, I want Gunler, then trade down, then JJP, then Marat, then Simon Tyval. No, Misak. I want Misak. I don't know. After that, I want Gunler.
You can only have one, man. You can only have one. All right, Joe. No, we can't get Joe. This is I was trying to frame this as we were purposely holding off to bring on the host of Lockdown Sabres to the very end of the show, just keeping people around to hear from the incredible Jack Quinn pick.
Okay,
but we can. So here we go.
Pick is in.
San Jose.
DW Jr., who, fun fact, is only 2 years older than me, makes me a little depressed. I'm 31. All right.
And you're wanting. Okay, so we're going to hear Gunler.
We're proud to select from the Prince Albert Raiders, Ozzy Weisblatt.
Ozzy, my boy, Ozzy. Yeah. Oh man, great pick. Great pick. You will love Ozzy. Motor like a Dodge Ram Hemi.
Who cares? He doesn't have skills.
Oh no. You will order the jersey. Get it on order. I like that pick.
As soon as he did the American Sign Language, the hand sign, I knew it was Ozzy because obviously his family story.
Yes.
But good family stories don't make good players. Good stories.
I am a fan of Ozzy. I think I was hoping he would kind of make his way into the first round, and he did. Last pick. Wow. So we have our first round. Ozzy Weisblatt rounds it out. Alex Lafreniere started it off. You are not happy.
Why didn't they just trade back? He was going to be there. They have 34. Just take him at 34.
That's a very good point.
What? Oh, this is the most classic Sharks thing of all time, where there's a good player on the board and they take like Josh Norris or somebody. Oh, this is annoying. Like Eli Tolvanen was right there, and they could have had him, and they Mirko Mueller was on the board, and they're like, we need to trade up for Mirko Mueller and not have Tyler Bertuzzi and Anthony Mantha. I don't like this highlight pack.
I agree with you because while I do like Ozzy Weisblatt, the way this round played out, there's great value picks right there, and Peterka's. I mean, Peterka is a bigger version of Weisblatt, basically. Like he just does not stop. He has great offensive skill, but Weisblatt is small. He's on the smaller side.
Strength, skating, hockey IQ, cool. Needs to improve. Shot, strength.
He's small. He's a small guy for sure.
So San Jose has a goal scoring problem. Why did they take the guy who can't score goals?
I don't know. Yeah, but I do like him. I do like him. All right.
Oh, that is. It's so hard to hate.
Neither one of us.
I don't hate Ozzy Weisblatt. Hold on, let's put that out there. I don't want to say that I hate Ozzy Weisblatt. I dislike the choice, but it's hard to dislike it when Ozzy Weisblatt's family has such an interesting story, and he's worked a shit ton his ass off to get here, which is really cool. And Doug Wilson Jr. signed his name for his mom, obviously live on TV, which has got to be a cool moment for him and his family, and they look really excited. And I don't dislike Ozzy Weisblatt as a player. I just, at 31, it's not what you want to see right there. But hey, I just thought of something in my sadness. Noel Gunler could be there at 34.
Absolutely. He absolutely could. The way that this thing is going, you have no idea.
And I mean, at least they didn't take a fifth rounder.
Yeah. 30 teams can say at least we did not take a fifth rounder.
Okay, so who's more upset at their first round choice, me or you?
I mean, I'm not completely upset with Justin Barron, but because I think like he potentially could be a very good pick down the line. You have injury concerns, like you said, and you were mentioning the blood clot thing, which, you know, that's just a medical thing. You can get that cleared up. He's got the tools. He has the skill set. So I think he's a wait and see what we get. And that's kind of what you get in this stage in the draft. So I'm not completely upset about it. I'm just more upset about, number one, Connor Zary going right before the Avalanche, because I feel like they would have definitely taken him. And kind of the running theme of this first round was like the talent and the value that was on the board that got passed over. That's true for my team. That's true for your team.
And I think just before we go here too, just to list off some of the guys that are going to be available in round two. Noel Gunler, obviously, Jeremy Poirier, Roni Hirvonen, Jan Mysak, Helga Grans, who's going to be a big upside defenseman pick. JJ Paterka is obviously still around. Martin Kromiak, William Olinder, Thomas Bordeleau, Zion Nybeck, and there's a host of other guys that we haven't even touched on. Marat, Casper Simon Tyval, Theodore Niederbach. These get Toppy Niemla. These are all guys that are borderline first-round talents that it's just too many guys in this draft. So I think there's a lot to be excited for unless you're a Buffalo fan.
Well, and we keep saying that. Like Buffalo is kind of like the running joke right now. They got a good player, just maybe a reach, and then, you know, what Columbus did will be the head scratcher of all head scratchers in the first round. Outside of that, where's your great picks? Where do guys fall that maybe they fell a little bit and somebody kind of a pick fell to them, like Perfetti going to
Jets,
Winnipeg?
For sure, Perfetti to the Jets at 10. Even though it's still 10 overall, Perfetti was a top 5 guy all year. I think that's a good draft. If you look at overall drafts, I think you got to like what Ottawa did. Obviously, they were a lot easier of a time to do what they did. I think you really got to like the Ducks draft. Getting pro late, you got to hand it to Vegas. They took Brendan Brisson at 29. That's a hell of a pick. At 29, I think the real winners of this draft are. There's not too many losers, I think is what I'm trying to say, because those back half picks, those end of the round picks were still really good picks, especially with New Jersey and Columbus and some other teams reaching up on guys. Montreal, there's a lot more guys available at the end of the round. And if you drafted really high, you did really well. If you drafted at the end, you did really well. And in the middle is kind of where it got dicey, but I'm not an NHL GM.
I mean, I'm impressed with Calgary. Trading back twice and still landing Connor Zary is very impressive to me. Very, very impressive.
They picked up 74 and 80, so that's 2 third-round picks for getting a guy that should have went when their regular pick at 18 or whatever.
Around there, right. So very good moves by them. I do like what Anaheim did with Drysdale and Perreault, and we don't really talk too much about about what the Hurricanes got with Seth Jarvis. I think Seth Jarvis is going to be a very, very good player, and they got him at 13, which was right around where he was slotted to go. Washington moving up to take Hendrix Lapierre, maybe a little bit of a risk with the injuries, but they wanted him. They moved up 2 spots, so you got a little bit of movement in trading later on in the draft. But overall, pretty solid. I think it was pretty solid.
I think the biggest wild card will be Nashville with Askarov. Askarov's going to be really good, but it's always risky taking a goalie. But Askarov might be the lone guy to be that good pick. But I think we've had enough talk of this. So, Chris, where can people get at you?
The show is pretty much where I do most of my work on Twitter, which is LOPN_Avalanche. And if you want to follow my personal Twitter page, it is C_MA_Selly. So C Micieli.
Perfect. And I'm the show is called Locked on Sharks. Pretty straightforward. I'm at Kyle Demetrius, where I do a lot of my work A lot of shit posting. So if you're into that kind of thing, come on over to Locked On Sharks, which was described as a real nice time by one of our guests. So, that's what we got going on.
All right, man. Well, it's been a blast. Rounds 2 through 7 tomorrow. I think starting at noon, I believe, Eastern
11:30 Eastern.
11:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
So have your coffee and breakfast and watch some hockey picks. So that's going to be it. Thank you to everybody who is tuning in out there in internet land. And this was only the first one. Maybe we'll do this again next year. I'm in.
All right. Go Sharks.
I'm in.